Hi, Cristina. I'm so excited to be here with you. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to get to know you a little bit more and to get the opportunity to your audience to get to know you a little bit more. I will briefly introduce myself. My name is Javiera. I am from Chile. And I love to interview people who are into consciousness, who are into empowerment, and who are here to show, how we can create a better life, a more fulfilled life. So I would like to ask you a few questions, actually more than a few questions, and explore what you do and explore a little bit of your personal life as well that you want to share with us.
Well, thank you very much, Javiera, for doing this together. I really look forward to your questions and to getting to know you as well.
Yeah. So, Cristina, one of the things I like the most and I am most curious about is about your work, about your talent. You are a medium, and also you said that you're a medium and a psychic. You have psychic abilities, right? How will you describe this? How will you describe your abilities? And what is it that you specifically do that you can share with us?
Okay. Yes. I am a medium, as you say, and psychic. So being a medium and being a psychic is very close together. The two go within each other. But we do differentiate in the terminology of like the British spiritualism, where I come from, where I was trained. I was trained based on the British spiritualism. So a medium is someone that communicates or has the ability to communicate with deceased people, like dead people, what they call them, which they're not dead. And plus also has the ability to communicate with like what we call spirit people or spirit guides or multidimensional beings. And the psychic has very similar abilities, but it's more working on this level of energy, like between people or between environments, with plants, with animals. Someone who is very sensitive is a psychic. So a psychic does communicate with energy as well and is in contact with beings too, but it's more on a energetic level, on a earthly energetic level, if I can maybe explain it that way. And the difference between the medium and the psychic is that the medium specifically is communicating, actively communicating with deceased loved ones. So that's it. So I have to be psychic to be a medium.
Thank you for explaining that so clearly.
Yeah. Do you understand it?
Absolutely. It's the first time I understand it so well.
Okay. Okay. But both are linked. So a psychic can, have mediumistic abilities, obviously. But a medium needs to be psychic to be a medium, because you have to train your sensitivity, your ability to perceive and be aware of presence, of energies, and to be able to translate and interpret what you perceive. So
I'm very curious to know, when did you realize you had this talent or gift? I don't know if you call it gift, a talent, or something you have developed through your life. How was that experience for you?
Well, it is a gift. It is a talent. It is something that belongs to me, that has always been there, like right from when I was little. My mom used to say, "Oh, you are so sensible, sensible, not sensitive. You can't just go around and tell people everything you think, right?" So it was always there. And when I was a child, I used to just talk to dead people. I couldn't differentiate between living and dying and dead people. And to me, death was always a big question mark. I couldn't understand why people or adults would make such a fuss about it and would be so sad, because for me, they were still around. So when I was at school, I used to go into the mortuary because I live in Switzerland. I was born and bred in Switzerland, and my school way was past a church where they had a mortuary underneath, and I used to go to visit
Wow.
the dead people and talk to them. You know, for me it was normal, and some really enjoyed it, and some didn't like it at all. They would say, "Who are you? I don't know you. Go away."
Wow.
But then with time and with culture, and I call it indoctrination, you know, I realized that not everybody was the same or could see or feel the same way. So and my mom kept telling me, you know,
Don't tell anyone.
don't tell anyone. And also sometimes when we went to visit friends, my parents' friends or family members, and I am a single child, so I just used to listen to the adults and just say what I think, and usually it was the truth. But not always. Not always they liked it too much. So mom used to say, "Don't say anything." And then further on, I sort of put it away. I was always interested in, you know, spiritual matters or astrology. And at that time, I mean, we're talking about 30, 40 years ago. You didn't have internet, so you didn't have many books on esoteric subjects, on spiritualism, and, you know, and all that. But what I could find, I would read and grab. Anything to do with astrology or esoteric subjects, I would really absorb. When I was about 25, around 25, after the birth of my second son, I really fell into a postnatal depression, and that's often the case when you have this gift or talent or whatever you want, this makeup within you. When you go through a hard time, usually they pop up. These abilities pop up. So my awareness became really heightened. I really started to feel and to even see stuff that other people didn't see, and it frightened me a lot. But thank God, I can say there are no coincidences. I came across an English medium and a British medium, and I had a sitting with this woman, a private reading, and she said to me, "Look, you are not crazy," because I was thinking I'm going mad, you know, feeling stuff that other people didn't, and nobody understood what I was talking about. And this lady really saved my life. I can only put it that way. She explained to me, "Look, you are mediumistic, you are sensitive, and you need to learn, you need to train yourself and learn how to manage these awarenesses and how to be able to detach yourself." So that's what I did. I started going to mediumship development seminars to this lady. Her first name was Sue, and I was home. you know, for me it was like, I found someone who knows what she's talking about, and she knows what I am experiencing.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and then because I'm multilingual, so I speak German, which is my mother tongue, and I speak Italian, which is my second mother tongue, because my parents came to Switzerland from Italy, and I speak English. I was asked to become a translator for English mediums, and I did that for 8 years.
Oh my God.
I translated like seminars, public demonstrations of mediumship, private readings.
I lost you for a second. There you are. Okay. You're back. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying I translated seminars, public demonstrations, private readings, and obviously doing that, I trained my mediumship. I learned how does a communication with a deceased one function? What do you have to or how do you interpret what you're feeling, and the presence of spirit.
Wow. Cristina, there are so many questions that are popping up for me.
Yes, please,
for you.
Please.
So going back a little bit to your childhood, I'm very curious to know how did you see, could you difference, for example, someone who is alive in this world, let's call it in this world, and someone who is on this other dimension? Would you see them differently? Would you see them in your inner mind? Would you see them exactly the same way? How was your experience?
As a child, I couldn't make any difference. I couldn't differentiate between so-called earthly living and spirit living.
Wow.
To me, it was the same.
And how did you, or have you developed a way to tell the difference now?
Because I realized, and also I had help in my childhood. When I can tell you the story. I was 8 years old when one of my spirit friends, I used to have these spirit friends that would talk to me. As a single child, I spent a lot of time on my own. And I had these friends, and one day I was outside playing by myself on a Sunday, and one of these friends told me that they now have to leave, that they have to pull back, and that I have to live my life here, that I have to learn to live without them. And this is, you know, can be confirmed by my parents, because I was out of my mind for a long time. I kept looking around, I kept trying to find them, and I kept saying I lost them, I lost them, I lost them. And that was sort of like the moment where it switched, where I became a normal child. And I had to learn to live in that, in our environment, go to school, and not, you know, not to say everything I think and feel. Yeah. And then it sort of disappeared. It just all these abilities, they didn't disappear, but they were just tuned down. I can say that they were tuned down.
Oh, I know that you give sessions, right? You give personal sessions, but before asking you which kind of sessions you give, I am very curious to know if you also, or this idea comes to my mind, like I can imagine many mothers out there who have a child who is kind of special, you know, have these gifts and talents. And I imagine it's not easy to guide them. on something they don't understand, and there are no it's kind of difficult to get knowledge about this. So are you offering some kind of guidance to people that might not have this gift, but are mothers that have a kid that have these gifts, or anything like that? Have you thought about this?
That's a good suggestion. I'm giving guidance sometimes when people come into a reading, like for a spirit coaching, and sometimes the spirit will then tell me that maybe this person has a child who is like that, but not specifically, like you suggested now. What I can say is that if anyone who will listen to this interview has a child, and the children that are coming now and have been coming for the last 15, 20 years, I would say, are really highly gifted. And in my perception, even the future children coming or souls incarnated, they will be, really, really open, and they will not have like these layers of programming like we still have. And if you are a parent and you have a child like that, just try to take them seriously, but not like, especially when they're small, but not to make a too big fuss about it, because the child knows, the soul knows exactly. So I would say just believe them, even if you don't believe it, if you can't see it, can't perceive it, but believe that your child is telling the truth. And seek out people in your environment, sensitive people or mediums, or spiritual people who can support. Yes.
Such as
very
yourself.
Important. Don't tell them you have a big fantasy or you are imagining stuff, because
Good point.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I can sense this information is needed in a big way. So I'm also curious to know if you mentioned that you had a little bit of maybe a little bit frightening experiences. How did you manage those experiences? How did you deal with that fear? If there was anything that was scary for you, did you call any guides, protection? How do you protect yourself if you do so? How do you do that?
Well, in the past, when all this sort of like when I was mid-20, it really exploded. I always had faith, and I always believed in, I used to call it God, not like the Catholic God or anything like that, because I had finished and closed up with them. But I still had this inner knowing that I was protected and there was something more, and I could remember my spirit friends. I remembered that. So when I got these frightened situations, this would be like, I'm at home where we were living at the time in a it was an elderly house, and I kept having the feeling, my God, there's someone here, and I didn't know who it was or what it was. I just had this perception of someone else being with me, and then obviously not having any explanation, not having the possibility to ask anybody or know anybody who had similar experiences. I just would pray. That was my way of confronting the fear, and I would then just feel I'm okay, that nothing can happen to me.
Having that trust.
Yes, having the trust back then. And then later on, when I started to realize, hey, hang on, this is real, what I'm perceiving, I learned to communicate with the spirit people, even if I don't see them anymore, by the way. I don't see spirit people like I see you and you see me. No, that's not there anymore. And actually, I'm quite happy because, you know, we live in this 3D world, so it will make it really hard if you could see them all the time like that. Yeah. It was actually good that was sort of dimmed down. I can see them sometimes clairvoyantly, but even then it's not like seeing a person. It's more an impression. So my clairvoyance is used by the spirit world with, like, they show me pictures, they show me images, or they show me words or sentences that appear within my mind, and I can say that, or colors or symbols, whatever.
Yeah. So you are like a bridge between people that have passed away and someone, a dear one that is here alive.
Exactly. Yes. That's the right word. A medium is a bridge between the worlds. Yes.
So I have so many questions for you, actually. I would love to know, for example, in your experience talking with people that have died. I know this word is, we're going to use it very consciously, because I love how you said that we don't die. You can see them there. So what do people that have passed away struggle the most with, or some of the struggles that they have expressed to you?
Okay, that's a very good question. The most struggles that I have experienced in communicating with deceased loved ones is not having expressed enough their love. No, not having said things that they should have said. Wow. That's actually the most important message that comes through with me. And you have to know, every medium works in a different way. But with me, I have a lot of people that come in a private reading, and they come into the energy field, and they talk to their loved ones here, and that's what they say. You know, I'm sorry for not telling you enough that I love you, or maybe they have regrets about their behavior, about their way they treated them, or yes. So it's very important you communicate to your loved ones, not just your loved ones, all the people that you feel a connection with, how much they mean to you, and if you can, how much you love them.
Wow, that's beautiful. So would you say, or the impression I get is that when people pass away, some people continue their path and they kind of leave, and some people stay in between because they feel they have something that they haven't closed or they want to express still?
Yes. It's precisely like that. Not everybody who passes over, who goes to the spirit world, has the need to stick around or to, you know, communicate with their loved ones. Some move on, and some stick around, like you say, but it's not like in between. That is my experience. I mean, I don't know everything, thank God, but in my experience, it's not that they are trapped or in some in-between world, not at all. It's like their energy construct, or their soul construct, chooses to come back and communicate with their loved one. Now, I can make an example. Like, I am a mom, I have 2 adult sons. If I would die tomorrow, I the way I am, I will want to know what they're up to, you know, for the rest of their life. I will want to know how are they doing, and if when they will get married, if they do get married and have children, what the grandchildren would be. So, you know, and I would sort of like come and visit them, and that's how I experience it. Like they're not, your loved ones are around, they are a social away, they are a breath away, but at the same time, it's not like they're always sticking around you all the time. They have their own things, and they move on, and they learn, and whatever, I don't know.
Perfect.
So when they come to communicate, and maybe this helps people to understand a little bit better, is it's like I'm making myself available. I'm sort of like opening up my energy field, and this is not something that is a long process. It's that. So I'm working now, and my energy field expands, and my awareness goes into my energy field, and they come, like they enter. I give them permission to enter into my energy field, and then I can describe them. So, but they consciously and by their own free will come to communicate. Like I cannot call or command anyone here.
Beautiful.
So, you see, usually they come because, I mean, if someone comes to me for a reading and they are hoping to hear from their mom, dad, from their partner, from their children, the spirit people know that. They know that. So they will want to show up. But sometimes
Wow.
it can happen that I don't perceive them, and which doesn't mean they're not around. It's just I can't perceive them.
Wow, I love it. Feels like a simple process, and I just want to highlight a few of the things you said, such as they have to come from their own free will. You're not commanding them, and it's like a request. And it feels like a very gentle way of working and connecting people that, you know, beings that we are in this universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when did you realize that you could help people with this? And when did you decide that this was something you wanted to do?
I decided, I knew the moment I met this English medium, Sue, that's what I wanted to do as well. It was just a knowing. And then it was a matter of training. It really is a training. It's like every other talent. Like everybody can play a guitar, or you know, make some sounds on a piano.
Yeah.
But if you want to become a pianist or a guitarist, a musician, you have to train. I mean, train.
Good example.
And it's nothing different in mediumship. You have to learn and train and make experiences.
So how many years would you say you've been training? And how many years of experience you have in the field?
I have, well, I started 1993, so that's 26 years.
Yes.
And I attended seminars for 3 years, regularly, like 4 to 5 times a year. It would be a weekend, and in between I would sit in silence, sit in the power, which is a meditation to build up your energy, to build up your inner strength, and to get to know your spirit people and your team, your spirit team, which is nothing to do with deceased ones. It's something different. And then I translated for 8 years.
Yes.
And then I took a break. And like after 11 years, I was like saturated. I was really, I it was just, I needed a change. And I took a break for 3 years about, and I didn't do nothing of anything. No meditation, reading, a lot of reading and a lot of working on myself, yes, but nothing to do with the spirit world or with all that. And then I just, one day I met a friend in a shopping mall, and she said, "Hey, what are you doing? And are you still doing something with your mediumship?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Come to my circle, come to my circle." So I restarted basically. And then in 2010, which is really fascinating because so many people started things like, Inelia, our common friend, I can say, Inelia. In 2010, it just came like a flash. One evening, I said to my heart, I was working then like my normal job. I used to be a personal assistant of a managing director in a bank.
I was going to ask you, what was you working at?
yeah. That was my job, like very earthly stuff. And one evening, I turned to my husband and I said, "I'm going to make myself self-employed now, and I'm going to work with my mediumship." So I started in 2010. I then quit my job and got prepared, and in 2011 I really took off.
Wow.
Started to build it up, and I'm still building it up. It's not like
Yes.
a full-time job yet, but it takes, because you see, if you work like that, I have to say this, if you work like that, you really have to be aware and balance the energies out, because mediumship, like, I feel the presence of deceased ones. I feel their emotions, I feel their sadness, I feel their joy, I feel their physical pains they used to have when they were here. They don't have them anymore, but it's just a memory. So I feel that on myself, on my physical body. So you have to learn to discern that and to sort of look after yourself very well to be able to do this job. Yeah.
Well, nowadays, this is my opinion, this is my personal opinion, but I believe that there are more and more people with these abilities, and more people that are waking up to these gifts, that these natural superpowers, let's call it that way. And I believe that this knowledge and people like you that have this 30 years of experience, a whole life of experiencing with this gift, it's very valuable that you show up like you're saying, like, I'm here. So it could definitely be a full-time job, even if it's not giving like being a medium all the time, but you could be explaining your own experience, and I think it could be very valuable. So I wonder, what do you offer at the moment? How can people, what kind of people do you, let's call it, serve, or what would they be looking for to come to you?
At the moment, I offer like 2 private readings, or 2 formats of private readings. One is what in English they say evidential reading, which is about establishing communication between a deceased loved one. And the other is what I call a spirit coaching. So these are the 2 things I offer. Now, in an evidential reading, it's about contacting a loved one, and it's about what they want to talk of, yes, the spirit world. In a spirit coaching, I'm working more on a psychic level. So here we have the difference. Like, I'm working with my client's energy, with my client's subtle body's energy, plus with their spirit team, and it's like my spirit team and their spirit team are working together and are passing on information, support, or they give like hints on what they could focus their energy on, or where they are good at, or maybe which are parts that they maybe need to look at a little bit more in depth. Yes. And I do public meetings, like public demonstrations on mediumship, on demonstrating contact. And I used to do workshops. I've taken a break from that. I did workshops from 2011 until 2015, where I actually trained people in learning mediumship, in training themselves. Yes.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I know I'm considering to do that again. The time will come.
What would you say is the feeling or the overall feeling that your clients get once they've contacted, their guides or their loved ones? How do they leave the session?
Usually, I mean, an evidential reading helps the grieving process. So it doesn't dissolve the grief and the pain of loss at all, but it helps them carry on with their life. So usually they go out with more hope, with more certainty, because a lot of people that come to me, obviously, they feel the presence of their loved ones at home, around them. They, maybe they have dreams, they dream of them, or things happen in the house which they try to give a sign. I'm here, I'm around you. And so very often when they leave from my sessions, they have more hope, and they sort of can handle their own grief and their own pain maybe in a different way.
Wow, what a relief.
Yes.
Wow.
And sometimes, the spirit world, when I say the spirit world, I mean the deceased one, they're really clever sometimes. I mean, they're not all knowing and all angels, by the way. When we pass over, we don't become angels immediately.
Good point.
But they are very clever, because like when somebody comes to me or books a session, I don't want to know anything. I just need a name and maybe a phone number if anything happens. And I don't want to know who they want to contact. I don't need to know anything about the personal life, anything. And then the spirit, the deceased person, communicates and gives me things and gives me like proof. And sometimes stuff that my client has to go home and research, or maybe ask someone else about. And then if that gets a confirmation, if that is confirmed, it's like, I call it a double proof of their presence, because that's what it is about. It's about proving that there is no such thing as death, the way we perceive it at the moment. It's just a different dimension. We just move, we leave this physical body behind, but all the subtle bodies or the spirit body, that stays intact, which means your emotions, your memories, your thoughts, they stay with you for a certain while. Once you pass over for a certain while, I'm saying that very consciously, and it's not the same for everybody. Like we already said, some people just go, I don't know where.
Have you ever had deceased ones that felt guilty about what they did in this world, for example?
Very much so.
So I imagine sometimes a relief for them to be able to express that.
Precisely, yes. And very good point, Javiera, because my work is not only supporting my clients in the body, but it's supporting the spirit person as well. Because often they come to apologize for things they have done, and which helps them as well to move on or to clear their, clear their energy. I can truly, honestly say that sometimes once they have been able to say, I'm sorry for why that I can feel a release in energy within the presence, within my energy field. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that both can find release.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's such a beautiful and interesting job that you've chosen. And beautiful work. And I'm also curious to know, you just traveled to Egypt, right?
Yes.
I'm curious. I know you've mentioned that a little bit, and you've been very joyful about that and eager to share more about that experience. So I want to know more.
Oh, Egypt. Yes, I traveled to Egypt last October with a group of 8 people, and it was facilitated by Victoria Moore. You know Victoria as well. She's one of those people that inspired me a lot in the last years, like Emilia Benz as well. And she had this offering, and I was called to Egypt. And I mean, there's so much I want to say. I don't know where to start. Let me say this. When I said to my family last year when I booked the journey, I said I'm gonna go to Egypt. My mom said to me, "Oh, you always said you wanted to go to Egypt when you were a child. You always said I want to go to the pyramids." I couldn't remember that, but she said, "Yes, you did." And yeah, I have kept saying I want to go to Egypt. Before I die, I want to see the pyramids. But I've never really, it just never really worked out until last year. And then we had this amazing group, and Victoria, who facilitated, and a travel agent that was fabulous with us. And it was such a transforming experience to be in that land, to feel the energy of the land. And I am talking of physically the earth of Egypt and the region. I'm not talking of the political and religious Egypt at all. I'm talking about the land of Egypt and its history and ancient Egypt.
Would you say the land was calling you?
Yes, it was calling me. It does something to you. Egypt, if you are a little bit open, but not even that, because our tour guide and our Egyptologists said to us, the very first day, they said to us, Egypt will change you. And, you know, I sort of looked at them and I thought, yeah, okay. You know?
That's a big promise, right? Let's see what happens.
You know, I mean, you have a business, you have to sell tourism, you have to sell your country. But I can honestly say, with every day, if not even with every hour, I started to understand what they mean. There is a very special energy in Egypt. I cannot put it in a different way. I've traveled the world quite a bit. I've been in different places. I love New Zealand, for example. New Zealand is like my second home. But nowhere have I had the feeling of Egypt. Nowhere. And there is really something special about that spot of Earth. Now it's called Egypt, and it's been called Egypt for a long time, but it's not the country. It is the land, the spot on Mother Earth there that has this fabulous frequency, I have to say, that moves into your heart. It moves through your soul. So what we did, we toured around. We had like private visitations between the poles of the Sphinx, which means we were alone on the Giza Plateau early in the morning, and we could just tap into the energy of the Sphinx and of the earth there, of the rocks, because the rocks speak. Yes, and I don't know. I really wish I could find the right words to say, to express what it does to, what it did to me, but not just to me, because we were 8 of us. All of us came home and had huge shifts in our personal lives, in our energy. It was like an amplification of what is already there. So I came home, and I decided on the airplane coming back home, actually, I received like an inspiration. He just called me back. He said, please come back. And I sort of was shown myself in Egypt again, and also with people, taking people there and facilitating this experience.
Wow.
So since October, I have been in Egypt 3 times.
Oh my God! Wow!
I went in December for the winter, for the solstice, just for a short trip, 5 days. And I went back now in February. I stayed there for another 2 weeks, just to sort of get everything settled, because I'm gonna offer these tours myself.
Interesting. Do you want to share a little bit of what the tours are going to be about, and when are you launching?
Yes. Yes. Well, the tour is called Spiritual, Multidimensional, and Transformational Journey Through the Heart and Soul of Egypt. And it's actually exactly that. The intention is to offer like a space and time in a country that has an energy which can transform, which can activate, which can initiate what you carry within you already. It just makes it spark up. And it's nothing I do. it is the land itself. And we will travel around, like I did in October, like we will be in Giza, pyramids, we have private visitations, 3 private visitations, first one between the poles of the Sphinx. And then we travel down to Aswan, where we board a little private boat, where we read just for the group, just for us. And we will visit the Isis temple in Aswan also as a private visitation. And early in the morning, 2 hours on an island with the temple for ourselves. We will be able to meditate within the altar room, within the heart of the temple. We will then sail the Nile and have time to relax, have time to absorb and enjoy the power of the Nile and the beautiful sunsets. Nowhere have I seen so beautiful sunsets and sunrises like in Egypt. And we visit more temples, like we will go to Edfu, and then we go to Luxor and Karnak, and then Dera, Abydos. And in every site we will visit, every temple we will visit has a totally different energy, and we will get time to, or space to meditate for a short while, because the travel agency I'm working with, which is called Soul of Egypt Travel, isn't that beautiful? They are professionals in guiding spiritual groups and spiritual people through Egypt, so they know exactly what we need, and they know how to navigate us through the temple sites and know the spots where we can be a little bit private, and also the times when it's good to go and visit a temple. And what I'm facilitating it, and what my contribution will be on the journey is I will be there as a medium, as a psychic. I will see if I receive messages on the site, like I did myself when I was there. I had several messages come through from the sites, like at the Isis temple and Karnak temple, which can be found on my homepage. Beautiful messages. And also we will have always time to meditate on the boats, in the hotels. We will find space to meditate. But more than that, what I think is really important is to share experiences, to share what we perceived at each site, what we felt, what we received from the spirit world, and not just me, because it's not about me. The journey is about you if you join me. And to be able to share these experiences is a very important and valuable factor of the whole journey. So, yeah.
It feels like a journey of connection somehow.
Yes. Connection, reconnection, new connection. Absolutely.
I've been through some of those journeys, and I can say that, while listening to you, I was remembering some of those, and it changes you in many ways. You bring a lot of new energy to your routine, to your daily life, and you just like lighten up in many ways. And it's true, sometimes particular places in the earth will call you for particular reasons. So I guess if anyone wants to know more, they can contact you. You're going to give us your website, right? You're going to put it out there, and so people can contact you and know and organize themselves and everything.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Absolutely, like you say, you have to hear the calling somehow, or feel. More than hear, it's a feeling. I want to go there. Oh, I want to experience experiencing. And you don't need to know anything about Egypt, because I didn't know anything about the ancient history, the mythology. I mean, I had heard of Horus and Isis and Osiris and, you know, the different gods, mythological gods, but I didn't know the story about it at all. I just went there on a like green playing field and got everything I needed. So you don't have
needed.
Yeah. You don't have to know Egypt or the story or the history of Egypt at all.
That's amazing. Again, it feels like a lot of people are waking up and they are prioritizing maybe these kind of journeys than just rather go maybe to a beach, though it's really nice to go to a beach and do that.
Let me show you one of the rocks I brought home from Aswan, from the
wow, it's like water.
Javiera, it is crystallized salt water. It's in granite, crystallized salt water.
Beautiful.
It really is salty. When you have it in your hand, it is salty. Beautiful.
Oh my God. Well, now for the first time in my life, maybe the second time, but I felt like I really want to go to Egypt now. Like, I think I can do some snorkeling there. I believe they have some really beautiful places for scuba diving and.
Yes, on the sea, on the Red Sea, like Sharm el Sheikh and Hurghada. Yes, I haven't been there. We didn't go there on our trip because we stayed along the Nile, you know.
Yeah.
But I've seen pictures there. It's amazing places. And the people, let me just say this also. Thank you. Just reminded me. The Egyptian, let's talk about the Egyptian people. They're so warm-hearted, so hospitable people. You know, they welcome you when you get there. Everybody says welcome, and sometimes they even tell you welcome home or welcome back, as if they know that you have been there sometime.
Before. Yes.
And you know, unfortunately, what we hear or what mass media is broadcasting about it does not really reflect what is within the country. So we never had any trouble. I have been there 3 times now. Twice I went alone. I walked the streets. I crossed the crazy Cairo traffic streets. I have never been molested or nothing at all. In fact, the opposite. I've only experienced help and support and generosity and warmth. They just yes. Really hard. They're hard people. I can say that. Or that was my experience anyway.
I hear you. I've traveled through Asia and I've had also that experience of meeting really loving, open heart people. And that's like, wow, you know, it's a different experience from maybe this part of the world, in my experience at least. Nice. So, wow. If anyone wanted to connect with you, how can they contact you? How can they, book a session? Go in this journey with you. Okay. How would they do that?
Well, the easiest way is to visit my website, which is I will screen it, and it is www.cristinateot.ch.
Yeah.
Now, Cristina, my surname is written without an H. So it's C-R, it's Italian, like Italian writing.
Like in Spanish as well, Cristina.
Yes, Cristina. .com. There you can find in one page is about Egypt. You can find all the detailed description and the pricing. And then also you can read about my private sessions. I offer them online as well as in person, but
I was going to ask you that. Yes.
Yes, in person as well. Here in Switzerland, most of my sessions are physical. I have a practice, which now I'm at home, but I have a practice and I meet people there physically.
Yeah.
But for English-speaking people, or for Italian-speaking people, or even for people in Germany or Austria, I offer these sessions online via video communication. So it can be Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, iMessenger, FaceTime, IMO. So I have many different channels we can connect. Video is important because I need to see you,
yeah.
and you need to see me, so the connection is much better.
Wow.
Yes. And for Egypt, my first journey is planned in September for 10 nights, from the 20th to the 30th of September. And the second one is in November, which will be a longer one, 13 nights. But you find everything on my homepage, and please contact me if you have questions. Call me or Skype or send me an email. I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have on the journey through the heart and soul of Egypt and about my work as well, obviously.
Thank you so much for showing up, for sharing your experiences, for putting yourself in this technological world where we can communicate with anyone in this planet, basically, and for sharing so openly your personal journey and your gifts. I'm sure that there are many people out there that can feel more peaceful and resolved with just communicating with someone that has passed away, and vice versa as well. So,
well, thank you very much to you for making this possible, for having me, for all your interesting questions. It was really a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
It was a super pleasure, I'm going to say. I hope you have maybe a question, something. I guess many people have questions. I myself, I could be speaking with you for hours to know how this reality that we know works, and the other reality, let's call it that way, works as well. So thank you so much. Maybe we can explore that on another interview or something, or let the viewers ask you questions too.
Yes, I'd love that. That would be nice. Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to talk about it. I love to talk about it. I love to share, and I love to break down these constructs and these programs about so-called death.
Yes.
So there is. I want to close with like something a British or a Scottish medium usually says when he's working. He says mediumship is about taking away the fear of living. So you have to think about a moment, but yes, it's about taking away the fear of living. Not the fear of dying, the fear of living. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, mediumship supports you in that, and in processing your loss.
Is there any last message that you would like to share?
What I would like to say now on the perspective of mediumship and communication with the deceased one, I would like to tell you, please ones now. Tell them you love them. Tell them how much you appreciate them. Tell them how much they mean to you. Do it now, and don't wait until something happens and you then feel you have missed the opportunity. And also, especially with elderly people and with your parents or grandparents, tell them how much that you love them, because sometimes with how they were brought up, they cannot say it. They feel it, but they cannot say it. But if you tell them, you will support them a great deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. You communicate with angels too?
I communicate with what I call them spirit friends or spirit, my spirit team, or sometimes I use the word entourage, which Leila uses.
Yeah. Spirit
team,
and
and I don't have like specific. I can't really say, one of my spirit guides I find it hard to say spirit guide, because the spirit world I'm experiencing has never been guiding, like telling me go this way or go that way. Do you understand? Maybe that's because in German the word spirit guide is Geistführer. Now, Führer used to be, not used to be, is a word for a guide. It's a correct German word for that, but it also is connected to the Second World War, and that man, I don't want to say the name,
right,
from the Second World War, the German man.
Yeah.
And he was a Führer, right?
Yeah.
So there is associations that happen in German with me when I say spirit guide in German.
Okay. Very neurolinguistic there, links.
Yeah, it is languages. Oh, anyway, I could not tell you. I communicate with X, Y, S, and it looks like that, and it looks like that. So I just feel their presence, I feel their energy, and I recognize the energy. And I have colors. I have color codes. I gave them color codes. So my spirit team has color codes. I named them by colors.
Beautiful. And thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you for all your wisdom and your sharings.
Thank you. It was really, really a huge pleasure, like you say.
Big kiss.
Big kiss. Big kiss. Take care.